If you've lived in the city for a while, would you say that you know it pretty well? In his new book, Wild in Seattle, author David B. Williams takes us beyond the big buildings into the wild side of the city, from hidden forests to unexpected wildlife. And he joins me now to share the surprising ways nature thrives right here in the urban jungle. Welcome back to New Day.
Oh, such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you're in another vest, which I love. Every time you write a book, right?
Yeah, every time I write a book, my wife makes me a new vest, and so that's why I write now.
Exactly.
To get new clothes.
That's why I would write. It looks fantastic.
And way better looking than the vest you were wearing just a few minutes ago.
The weighted vest?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Fair enough. It's fine. For your newsletter, which is the basis for this book, you have to write an essay a week. So where do you find all these ideas?
Just out there, everywhere. I mean, last week I was biking with a good friend of mine, and I saw a harbor seal 18 miles up the Stillaguamish River. I'm like, what is that animal doing there? That launched the story that was this week's newsletter. So it's everything's around us, and I'm just curious.
Well, we love it. We hope we always stay curious.
Yeah.
And how did you end up working too with your illustrator?
That was pure luck. The publisher wanted to work with her. I'd known Elizabeth's work for the last few years. Gorgeous. I love her work. I love the creativity she brings, the whimsy. And so I just feel fortunate to be able to share those stories, to have them in the book. And I love this one of me looking at, like a true dork that I am, out looking at buildings. So that was really fun. They're always just creative. This is a tree in our nearby that was very controversial. And again, I just thought such a wonderful way to tell a story and really to bring the things to life. And then my favorite image.
I was going to say, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I have the original. It's at my house. It looks down at me every day, so I'm watched by pigeons. So, can't complain. Good life.
It is a good life. And you studied geology formally, I understand. So you're clearly very passionate about that subject. You start the book with a geology section. So how did you go from your interest in rocks to an interest in birding, slugs, urban coyotes, just to list a few?
Yeah. Geology is still my passion. It's where I see everything. I was lucky in college to start getting engaged with multiple subjects. And then after college, I got involved with a group of people who were looking at birds, looking at plants, looking at all these interrelationships. And I realized that's the way I like to see the world. I like to see the connections in place. And so by going out and trying to tell the stories in different light, looking at different things, whether it's the history of an animal or the background of a bird, I always want to weave those in and try and connect people and place, because that's what I'm doing as a writer.
And what's an urban wildlife experience that people think is rare, but it's actually pretty common to have, would you say?
Well, the two that I always like to think of are bald eagles. Seattle has a huge number of bald eagles in the area. If you drive across, 520 Bridge, you'll see bald eagles. You go to West Seattle, you'll see them along the water, you see them. We've even had them in our backyard, waking us in the morning, which is pretty amazing. Then the other bird are red-tailed hawks. Whenever I drive the freeway, I'm always looking out for traffic, but I'm also looking out for birds. And usually as I'm driving down the road, I'll see one and I pull out a pen, I put a little tick mark on my wrist. And I know it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but I've been doing it for so long, and I see dozens of red-tailed hawks along the freeway every single year. It's just amazing, and just this wonderful, again, connection of a place that we think of as no nature, and yet here is hunting on the freeway taking place with these birds, finding animals in the median. And how cool is that?
It is so cool, because like you said, it's not all the time what we're thinking about living in this kind of like urban jungle that we do. So if you were to recommend, though, one essay from your book as kind of a little teaser, do you have one in mind?
Yeah, I think the one that really expresses who I am as a person is one called Joys of Repeat Travel. And it goes back to this bike ride that I did just a few days ago. I ride with my best friend every week up in Arlington on the Centennial Trail. And it's really pretty boring trail. It's flat, it's along the freeway, there's not much, there's some forest. But in doing it for 7 years now, almost every week, we've seen this incredible accumulation of wildlife. We've seen a baby black bear, we've seen all sorts of animals. We saw a harbor seal. We hear different bird songs. Sometimes the trail is covered in snow, sometimes it's covered in leaves, sometimes it's covered in slugs. So it's developing that connection to place through, if you will, the mundane and the everyday. And I think we're often told you have to go out there to find something wild. And yet it's always right around us if we take the time to look, to slow down, pay attention, ask questions. And this ride just does it for me every single week. And it's just completely enriched my life.
Amazing. And you've written several books. How many?
I think 8 now.
8. Okay, so if this is someone's first time kind of hearing about you, how would you describe a lot of your books?
They're about place. They're about that intersection between people and the natural world. And I'm always trying to connect people to that landscape that's around them. And I think for me, it's always more enriching when you go out and you see the geology, you see the plants, and you notice these things. It gives you a connection. It gives you sort of, to me, it's just thrilling. It's fun. It's exciting.
Well, you're so fun and exciting, and so is your best. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.